Yes, answer on Burundi and why the UNFPA and the UN system are supporting the president and wife's radio station. But it didn't, as I'm sure you saw if you passed it along, it just said that we like to work with radio stations. It didn't address the free speech issues raised by actually assisting not just a government radio station, but a station that's run by the head of the wife of the head of the country at a time only today, since you sent me this, Reporters Sans Frontières has come out and said that the government is threatening to imprison radio journalist Nshimirimana for reporting on forced contributions by youth gangs. So it didn't. I mean, I guess maybe you can do it. Maybe I guess they cooked this one up. But what is the UN's? How can it claim, as it does, that it supports freedom of the press when the assistance to radio it's giving in Burundi is to a government radio station run by an enemy of the free press described by press freedom groups?
The language that the UN Population Fund gave you is that they support a number of radio stations, not simply one. And beyond that, you should probably contact our colleagues in UNFPA. I've given you the information
Did
that they
this issue
provided.
come up with the Deputy Secretary General yesterday?
Like I said, we don't have the details of internal meetings with the heads of agencies. Obviously, they talked about common issues of concern between the UN Secretariat and UNFPA.
DRC?
Sure.
Sure. I wanted to ask you two things on DRC. One is just, you may have even read it out from here, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but it's the UN has come up with a very high estimate for the number of people it believes will be displaced by this joint DRC and Uganda operation in the wake of the killing of the Tanzanian peacekeepers. And I just wanted, the number seemed so high, I wanted to know, number one, is the UN saying anything to the two countries about how they should be conducting this? Is it a fait accompli? Is there any UN support to that operation? And also, what is the status of the inquiry led by Dmitry Titov, but apparently into what went wrong? There's at least one media report saying that one of the reasons, sadly, that the peacekeepers were killed is the lack of air support, that a helicopter didn't fly to support them because there was a lack of pilots with night training. So there are people that, if that's the case, said, like, how can in a country like the DRC, how can you have helicopters with people that can't fly at night if, in fact, the bases are being attacked at night?
Well, regarding that, the report by Mr. Titov is being finalized. I believe it will be ready to go to the Secretariat and the Secretary General shortly, and he'll have a look at that point. It has not been finalized so far, and then we'll evaluate at that point, and we'll try to share with the press the details of that report once we get that. Regarding your other question, we have some information out today, including what I just read at the first part of this briefing, concerning the large number of displacement of people from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I'd refer you to what UNHCR has been saying. And yes, of course, we call on all fighting forces to halt their activities to cease further such displacement.
But what's the UN's position on the Ugandan government saying we're going to take out the ADF because they attack the peacekeepers? It's kind of being done in the name of the UN, no? Should they, I guess what I'm saying is,
it's not being
are you
done
saying that they should
no,
not
I'm
attack
sorry,
the
it's
ADF?
not being done in
Okay.
the name of the UN. Please
All right.
be accurate.
No, I mean, they're saying you killed peacekeepers, therefore we're going to take you out. If you're the UN, you should say, no, don't take them out, or take them out in this way. So what are you saying to them?
I mean, obviously, we're aware of the constant unrest, and it's been going on for many years, as you're aware, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and specifically in the eastern parts. We have been trying, including through the efforts of our peacekeeping mission, MONUSCO, to find ways to ease the situation. At the same time, we are aware that that the activities by military groups continue. That must be brought to a halt. But we are trying to deal with the situation. And part of what I've been saying, including at the top of this briefing, was the need to fully fund our efforts to deal with the massive amount of displacement.
But when Uganda was firing, because it came up in this room, they claimed to have killed 100 ADF fighters. This was about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. They claimed that they did it without crossing the border, but the people that were killed were at least 100 kilometers inside the border. Did MONUSCO ever find out how Uganda was able to kill 100 people at that distance? I guess I'm wondering, doesn't MONUSCO have some kind of monitoring capability to see, or mandate, to see how these two armies are, in going after ADF, actually doing these things? I'm just saying the UN is more involved than just issuing press releases about displacement, since it was the attack on the UN that's used as the pretext or as the triggering of these two military actions.
The fact that an attack on peacekeepers is used by different parties to explain their actions does not make it a UN operation or something that involves the United Nations. Our operations are done by the United Nations. Have a good weekend, everyone.